Why do the opinions of others still disturb you? Why does rejection burn, insults linger, and disloyalty crush your spirit? In a world ruled by manipulation, emotion is a weapon, and if you bleed, you lose. But what if I told you that you can become completely untouchable, so rooted in your own power that nobody and nothing can shake you ever again? In this video, we uncover the psychology of the king, the mindset that makes one immune to chaos, betrayal, and public judgment. The weak react. The king absorbs everything and is moved by nothing. In the game of power, emotions are liabilities. They are cracks in the armor, signs of weakness that observant enemies will exploit without hesitation. The king, if he wishes to remain on the throne, must never allow his internal state to become public knowledge. Feelings may exist, but they are stored deep, where no eye can see and no hand can reach. Emotional detachment is not the absence of emotion. It is the disciplined mastery of it. The king knows that vulnerability, no matter how poetic it may seem, is a currency spent only by those who can afford to lose. He cannot afford it. The world does not respect emotional transparency in those who seek power. It interprets it as instability. To the common man, honesty may be noble, but for the ruler, it is reckless. When you react to insult, you confirm your enemy's power over you. When you show pain, you validate your opponent's success in causing it. Every emotional outburst gives your rivals a map of your weaknesses, and every tear they see is a blueprint to your downfall. The king may feel disappointment, rage, betrayal, even grief, but he processes these things privately and weaponizes them strategically. Control over your emotions is more than stoicism. It is command. Just as a general directs his army, so too must you direct your internal forces. Do not let your anger rise without cause, your jealousy bloom without purpose, your sadness overwhelm your logic. You must become the actor and the author of your feelings, not their audience. Let others react. Let them flinch, shout, beg, cry. You will watch, still and silent, because nothing terrifies the emotional man more than the one who remains unmoved. The king wears masks, not to deceive blindly, but to lead with intention. A smile can diffuse a rebellion. A calm silence can crush opposition. Anger, when needed, is a tool to control crowds, not a personal release. Every emotion must serve a function. If it doesn't serve you, it betrays you. The king understands that appearing cold is not cruelty, it is clarity. He does not allow sentiment to blind strategy. His mercy is measured, his compassion is calculated, and his love, if it exists, is protected behind 1,000 walls. To detach emotionally is to rise above manipulation. The masses are ruled by feelings. The king is ruled by vision. While others are swept away by drama, the king stands still in the storm, unshaken. The true seat of power is not found in palaces or on battlefields. It is in the mind. A king who cannot govern his own thoughts is no king at all. He is a prisoner dressed in royal garments, ruled by whispers within, not by commands from above. The inner court, your mind, is filled with voices, doubts, fears, regrets, desires. Each one fights for influence. If left unruled, they form factions, and the mind becomes a chaotic parliament where no law is final and no order stands. Control begins not with the world outside, but with the discipline of that inner realm. The king must first conquer himself before he can command anyone else. You cannot direct an army while being led by panic. You cannot judge others while you are at war with your own thoughts. The strength of your external presence is determined by the quiet order within. The world rewards those who do not panic, who do not second guess, who do not shatter under pressure. But that composure is not natural, it is trained. The king must kill the voice of weakness, exile the thought of surrender, and silence the rebellion of self-pity. There can be no tolerance for inner disobedience. Your mind is not a forum, it is a throne room. Every thought that enters must serve the crown. Doubts are to be interrogated. Fears are to be understood, then subdued. Memories are not to be dwelled in, only studied and archived. The king cannot afford to daydream. He cannot afford to be pulled by every emotion, haunted by every failure, or distracted by every desire. His mind must be an empire of cold focus. He must know what he wants, why he wants it, and how every thought either aids or obstructs that mission. The inner court is also where false kings often sit. Ego, insecurity, nostalgia, they all attempt to crown themselves and issue orders. But these voices are traitors, not advisors. The king must observe them, then remove them without mercy. You do not negotiate with anxiety. You do not make peace with envy. You identify it, trace its source, and eliminate it. Your mental environment must be hostile to weakness. It must not allow repeated thoughts that question your identity, your worth, or your power. The mind must become a fortress, its gates heavily guarded, its chambers lit by discipline, not emotion. And yet, this control is not loud. The king does not scream at his thoughts. He does not rage against them. He understands that real power is quiet. It is the ability to dismiss a thought without emotion, to observe a fear without flinching, to command silence without force. Control of the inner court is not performed for the world to see. It is done in solitude, in shadows, behind closed doors. The king does not waste his energy proving his strength to the insects crawling beneath him. Every time he reacts to petty provocations, every time he flinches at an insult, he lowers himself. The truly powerful understand that silence wounds deeper than retaliation. Strategic indifference is not passive ignorance. It is a calculated refusal to respond. It is the deliberate choice to not care in public, to show no movement, no crack, no rise. This is not apathy, it is dominance through stillness. The king knows that when he remains unmoved, he becomes a mirror that reflects his enemy's desperation. Every weak man wants your reaction. The flatterer, the liar, the critic, they are parasites feeding on your attention. The moment you speak in defense, you feed them. The moment you argue, you validate them. They grow stronger as you stoop to their level. The king denies them this luxury. He does not descend to explain himself. He lets them talk. He lets them burn themselves alive in their own noise. Because he understands that power is not proven by retaliation, but by restraint. The most devastating response to an attack is to act as if the attack never occurred. When people throw stones and you do not even turn your head, they begin to doubt the weight of their own weapons. When your enemies gossip and you walk by as if deaf, their voices lose their venom. The king's indifference is a strategy of psychological warfare. It tells the world, I am above you. It communicates that your presence, your insults, your rebellion is irrelevant. That is the deepest cut of all. Indifference also protects the king, not just from others, but from himself. When you react emotionally, you abandon logic, you lose time, you cloud your vision. But when you practice restraint, you maintain control of every move, every word, every outcome. You do not speak unless it advances your agenda. You do not fight unless the victory is guaranteed. The king does not react. He observes, calculates, and acts only when the blow is final. It is also in indifference that the king maintains mystery. When he does not respond, the court whispers. When he does not explain, people invent reasons. The silence becomes myth. And in myth, power grows. He is feared not for what he says, but for what he withholds. The more unpredictable his response, the more careful others become in his presence. This strategic withholding turns him into a symbol, not just a man. The king does not lead with feelings. He leads with force, precision, and foresight. While the masses stumble in the dark of emotion, the king charts his course by the cold light of logic. He does not ask what feels right, he asks what works. Sentiment is a weight, nostalgia is a drug, hope is a distraction. In the court of power, decisions must be made with the calm cruelty of a surgeon's hand. There is no room for tears, for hesitation, or for the luxury of being liked. The king calculates outcomes, not approval. He does not react to the moment, he shapes it. Every decision is a battle plan. Every word spoken is a tactical move. The king views people as pieces on a board, some useful, some temporary, all replaceable. He studies their patterns, their triggers, their weaknesses. He knows who is loyal out of fear and who is loyal out of self-interest. And he knows how to use both. When betrayal comes, he is not surprised. He already accounted for it. When crisis strikes, he is not shaken. He already anticipated it. Because cold logic doesn't just react. It prepares, it ensures, it dominates before conflict even begins. This mindset is not without effort. The king must kill the instinct to please, the impulse to seek validation. He must erase the fantasy of fairness, of mutual understanding. He knows the world is not built on justice. It is built on advantage. The moment he allows emotion to dictate his actions, he steps out of control and into chaos, so he disciplines himself to act without personal attachment. The people may cry for mercy, but he gives it only when it serves his strategy. He may reward, but never out of guilt. He may forgive, but never forget. Even in relationships, the king applies logic. He does not fall for charm. He does not chase love that weakens him. He forms alliances, not attachments. When he chooses to care, it is a conscious decision, not a compulsion. His trust is rationed. His time is calculated. His presence is never given freely. The king remains cold not because he is heartless, but because warmth without direction is weakness. He protects his heart by putting it under the command of his mind. Emotion obeys intellect, not the other way around. And in this reversal, he creates unshakable power. The king understands that leadership is not about being the loudest or the kindest. It is about being the most accurate. He speaks when words serve a function. He punishes when delay would breed danger. He rewards when it secures future loyalty. And nothing is done without purpose. He does not move because he is pressured to act. He moves because he has already measured the consequences, weighed the risk, and determined the benefit. His decisions may seem harsh, but they are clean, final, and effective. The king is not shaped by the crowd. He shapes the crowd. He does not wait to be named. He names himself. His image is not a reflection of the world's opinions. It is a sword forged in solitude and held with unwavering grip. Identity for the king is not a journey. It is a weapon, and only those who master it wield true power. The weak man constantly shifts. He adapts, bends, conforms, trying to be accepted, to be validated, to be seen as enough. But in that desperate flexibility, he becomes nothing. The king, by contrast, is fixed. He has already decided who he is, and he moves through the world not asking for recognition, but commanding it. This identity is not built on emotion or public reaction. It is not constructed through external praise or validation. It is formed by deliberate choice. The king chooses his values, his rules, his posture, and he does not explain them. He is not concerned with being misunderstood. He is concerned only with being consistent, being sovereign, being feared when necessary, and admired on his terms. He does not enter a room wondering what others think. He enters and others adjust their thoughts to fit his presence. His aura does not ask, it imposes. The masses wear a different face in every setting. They are brave when praised, quiet when criticized, loud when among cowards, and silent when near strength. Their identities are rented, not owned. The king sees this and knows that power does not belong to those who seek approval. It belongs to those who radiate certainty. And certainty is built not from ego, but from unshakable principle. You do not need to be perfect. You need to be immovable. You need to be so deeply convinced of your own worth, your own purpose, your own vision, that no insult sticks, no praise distracts, and no rejection wounds. The king is immune to labels because he creates his own. He is never desperate to be called good, noble, kind, or fair. He does not need the people to believe he is strong because he knows he is. Their opinion is a shadow to him. He remains who he is, whether he is applauded or attacked, whether he is celebrated or slandered. He walks through lies, through rumors, through betrayal, and still wears his identity like a crown no one can remove. His posture, his silence, his every glance sends one message: I know who I am, and no one can rewrite it. In a world that constantly demands your reaction, your explanation, your surrender, the king remains untouched. He has mastered the art of emotional detachment, silenced the chaos of his inner court, and wielded strategic indifference like a blade sharper than any insult. He does not bend to the weak hands of emotion, nor does he tremble beneath the weight of expectation. His decisions are forged in the cold fire of logic, not sentiment. His identity is self-defined, immune to applause or attack. And through this ruthless clarity, he becomes untouchable. You do not rise by being liked. You rise by being unmovable. You do not lead by pleasing. You lead by commanding. The king's power is not in his crown. It is in the way he speaks with silence, the way he watches without flinching, and the way he walks through chaos untouched. And nothing can affect the man who governs himself absolutely, not enemies, not lovers, not the world, because when the throne is built within, it can never be taken away.